Okie dokie, so where were we? We were looking for the beanlets, but also, I just really quickly want to check for the hidden blocks that are supposedly here. I think it's this house, actually. Yeah, Who beans are in rare supply, so I'm kind of going out of my way to get them. At some point, we actually lose access to some of them, so it's actually good to keep that in mind. Some things in town become blocked off after a certain point in the story. Just a little hint of missables. This game isn't too bad about missables though, to be fair. Like, I've definitely seen worse RPGs for that. But this does, you know... This does feel important to mention at least a little bit, that you have to be a little bit aware of not being able to access certain features in the future. Am I losing my mind? Never mind. This should be the last one. But we'll check. If not, we'll keep looking. Yep, that's the last one. Yo, my poor little beetlet buddies, you got them all back for me. Yo, many thanks, bros. I'm practically crying. I'm so relieved that these dudelets are safe. Anyway, right on, bros. Here's the reward I promised you. A golden mushroom, which is like the best healing item in the game. Practically. Definitely worthwhile. So now we're actually finally at the east part of town. We haven't actually seen this area before. We have a Lakitu variant, and also got ambushed, unfortunately. So we'll just quickly dispatch these spinies. So it's the Lakipi. I feel overleveled for some reason, and again, I've actually avoided more fights than I normally would on a playthrough of this game. Normally I fight even more enemies, so I'm actually like legitimately wondering why I feel like overpowered at the moment. Ow! Probably because stuff like this keeps happening. After the Woohoo Hooniversity set piece, and one after that, which we might be able to get through today, I'm probably going to take a break from the story and do some field cleanup. We won't be able to get everything in the field, there's a few things that'll be blocked off, but we can get most things relatively easily. Like, you know, we have a bunch of hidden areas, but we'll explore on our way to the Hooniversity. Bean Field is actually pretty expansive. It's a nice little, nice-sized overworld, I'd say. We'll get the Chuckle Beans, there. But, we'll save any other major collectibles for later. For now, I just want to beeline it to the University. Actually, I want to talk to y'all. You can pass. Or so I've been instructed to say. Real friendly. I also, ignored the enemies in the other area because we'll have opportunities to fight them in the future. But we'll go out of my way to fight this, enemy. The Troopy, these can heal, if I'm not mistaken, so they're actually a little bit dangerous. I should have gone for the beanie instead, but it all worked out, so no objections there. Sometimes these little sprouts here can also have Chuckle Beans, so it's not just the circles. It's very tricky, because the game never really tells you that part. Yeah, these aren't too bad. They're immune to hammer, practically. Basically, nothing is, like, entirely immune. Unless it's an elemental attack, which we'll see later. Beyond that, most things in this game are... They'll do, like, 1 damage at minimum. Which obviously isn't good, but is essentially an immunity. Woohoo Hooniversity. Goody. This section is very interesting. Again, Superstar Saga in general is very cool, I'd say. It has some very, very dark moments, and this is definitely a fairly dark part of the game, I would say. Nice little row of item blocks along the way. I love this field theme, I already said that though, but I still do. It still applies. So now we have a save block, nothing on the other side though. So let's hop on in. And we got Eek! Run! And Mario's completely nonplussed while Luigi's freaking out. Well, that's ominous, that everyone is fleeing all at once. Totally, nothing could be going wrong. But up here we have an injured person. Kakuleta and her crew snuck into the Hooniversity. They transformed all the Hooniversity's professors into monsters. Ugh. That's kind of horrifying, actually. It's like, for Mario standards, this is like kind of body horror-ish in a way that's like kind of... I want to say that's like neat or anything, that almost feels too excited. But again, I do like when Mario games tap into like darker themes, occasionally. Oh, hello. Is it just the one block? But overall this area isn't too bad. If we check the map up here, it's pretty big, but also kind of linear. A lot of it's also past an area we can't get to yet. Which basically our ultimate goal for this area is to get past a door in this room, but to get there we have to redirect all the lights to shine on this like symbol. It should spin that symbol to line it up. That's the last step in the puzzle. Yeah, some Who beans are out in the open. I kind of forgot that detail, actually. I thought most of them were hidden blocks, but even then, they're still the rarest bean. There's a way to get infinite numbers of them through a minigame, but it's a minigame I'm absolute garbage at, so I'd rather not rely on that. We have these like yo-yo enemies that are like only in this game, the Yo-Bros. They're actually pretty cool. And again, the designs in this game are often very rad, in my opinion. Weirdly enough, this is actually an area that threw me off big time in 3DS. For some reason, the attack timings felt really off to me in this area in particular. So I got kind of beat up in this section on 3DS specifically. But again, a lot of that just comes down to muscle memory. A big example of that, obviously, is Thousand Year Door Remake. I've already talked about this last stream, probably. The Thousand Year Door Remake is ostensibly easier in practice, or easier in theory, but in practice is actually harder, because I'm not used to the superguard timing in that game. It's fun though, actually. This might sound weird of like, oh wow, I struggled a lot with Thousand Year Door Remake, but I actually kind of enjoyed that because I played this game 50 million times. Obviously an exaggeration, but still. I played Thousand Year Door probably straight through about 10 times in my life, which is a big deal when it's like a 30-hour RPG. However, it is actually kind of refreshing having challenge again with the remake, because we're just not being used to how certain things work. And again, that's kind of an artificial way to get challenge. It's just, oh, the attack timings are different in the remake. But it was kind of refreshing, not just being able to, you know, curb stop everything, superguard everything. Kind of like almost feels weirdly backwards to be like, I enjoyed struggling on this game, but that is actually an accurate take on Thousand Year Door Remake. I had a great time with it. Again, a lot of people think it's kind of cheap to include remasters in like a Game of the Year list, but it's gotta be up there for sure for me last year. Also, the viruses have a gimmick where if you match colors, they all are defeated instantly, which is very cool. Love that detail. Oh hi, immediate ambush. So yeah, the Sniffets have 2 attacks. One is to be longer range that you have to jump over, and close range that you can just stand there for. Kind of weird that there's risk in not having to do anything, but sometimes this game actually tries to psych you out with attacks. There should be, yeah, down here. Good old Chuckle Bean. Alright, we have a really cool room coming up, actually, before too long. Also, the, like, bush enemies were spitting out fuzzies in the Chocohawk Woods. That's also a very cool Easter egg of sorts. I don't know what to upgrade here. I guess Stash, we could use a little bit more luck, I suppose. I say as we're kind of just curb stomping everything, even without getting crits. But just to kind of keep the numbers up for all the roulettes, it's good to spread out stats from time to time. This is a very cool area. This is like an area to teach you about the different block types in the game. Like the little robots will tell you all sorts of different things, but you also have these. Block used in Super Mario 64, currently analyzing the new technology that makes it vanish when struck. Block used in Paper Mario appears to be made of soft materials, but is actually quite hard, for professionals only. This game actually predates Thousand Year Door. Block used in Super Mario World, made of light shiny materials, somewhat shock absorbent. Block used in Super Mario Bros. Made of secret materials from the Mushroom Kingdom, metallic appearance is quite popular. We also have another type of block. This is just a tutorial though, so there's no actual coins in it. But yeah, this is very cool. But yeah, we have this type that will like alternate at random. And we have this one that you have to like relay back and forth. But yeah, this is just kind of an Easter egg slash tutorial area, and it kind of rolls. Doesn't serve any other purpose whatsoever, but to be cool, basically. Sundoor, that's where we want to go. I remember people lost their minds over them keeping this, because like, people are I'm gonna be blunt. Like, I'm gonna be totally blunt here. People are really weird about Mario RPGs. As a Mario RPG fan, I can fully admit this. So like, I remember like there were a lot of changes in Superstar Saga Deluxe or 3DS just to keep it with parity, to give it parity with Dream Team and Bowser's, or Dream Team and Paper Jam's art style, but that meant a lot of sprites were also redrawn to be more like on model, essentially, for lack of a better term. I seem to recall there being some like complaining or like speculating at the time of like, oh, they're gonna get rid of the Paper Mario reference, right? Because Nintendo hates Paper Mario. Like, I don't remember if I'm having a Mandela effect or if that actually happened, but the problem with Paper Mario fans is I can completely picture that happening for real. It's like, I love Thousand Year Door. Thousand Year Door fans are a lot, and I will fully like call that out, basically. And like people say, weirdly enough, when Thousand Door HD came out, or Remake came out, it didn't really change as much as everyone was hoping it would. Like, I remember seeing talk at the time of like, you know, not that Paper Mario fans who have been complaining about Origami King and Color Splash for like 5 years, 10 years almost, have gotten the game they want. They're gonna like be less obnoxious about the games we like, right? And the answer is no. So, that was something I definitely noticed, is like, I almost feel like Paper Mario fans got more loud after, Thousand Year Door Remake, because now they're like, okay, so the next Paper Mario is gonna be like Thousand Year Door, right? I don't think it will be. I think it'll be like, more like Origami King, if I have to guess. Like, straight up, I think it will be. I'm not gonna complain about that, I like Origami King. But again, it's very fascinating how much of a war Paper Mario fans have been at with each other for like years now. And the funny part is, the aspect that often gets overlooked in this whole thing is Super used to be a big part of this inner fan-based war too. Because a lot of Thousand Year Door fans did not like Super at the time. I loved Super for its story. Weirdly enough, I've cooled off on its gameplay though, partly because, and we'll get to this, but Paper Mario, or Super Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door both kind of lampoon a lot of gaming tropes, and sometimes lampoon those tropes in ways that kind of fall, like, into the actual trope itself. Like, to make fun of this trope, it is actually committing this trope it's actively bashing. Like, Super Paper Mario has moments that are, and Thousand Year Door also have moments that are like spoofing like padding in a game, and are actually just heavily padded out for comical effect, but almost pad out too much to the point where it stops being funny and just becomes the thing it's trying to make fun of. And again, this is coming from someone who loves Thousand Door and Super. And again, I always have to specify this, I feel, for some reason. It's like, I probably don't need to specify this as hard as I do, but again, it's like Paper Mario fans can just be like that. So I often feel like stressing, like, yeah, I also love Thousand Door, and yeah, I still feel XYZ about it. Anyway, that's my soapbox for the day. Sundoor release code. This is important, by the way. You want to have this memorized. The only problem is they give you like 2 codes. I forget which code we actually need. So that'll be interesting in a moment. This game isn't very puzzle heavy, I'll fully admit. I kind of feel like a lot of RPGs do have puzzle aspects, but this one doesn't really. Speaking of which, I still really want to play Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 at some point. I have no clue when though, because physical copies are like completely out of stock everywhere. Because everyone underestimated how good that game was. So it sold out very quickly, as it turned out. I know a couple of major spoilers because the internet's gonna internet, but the game still looks very fun. The one concern I have about Clair Obscur is gore, which is a problem I have with a lot of games. I'm very inconsistent with what I find too gory, to be honest. Alright, so the problem I'm having is which code do we actually need? The game that taught me how to appreciate the French. This is a joke for the record. True. It is very cool. Like, people do say the game is like unabashedly French in terms of the culture of the world and the way that's actually really neat. I always kind of like that when games really embrace the culture of its, like, home country developer. The thing I don't like is fans of the game being really weird about JRPGs now, because they're like, oh look, the French made a better JRPG than the Japanese, and like, that tends to stray into like, oh, RPGs are like weird and anime and are bad, so this is why Clair Obscur is like the first good RPG. Like, this is an unironic take I've basically been seeing online lately. So that's the part of Clair Obscur that I'm not enjoying, is like the wild takes I've been seeing about like JRPGs that are just kind of overgeneralizing all of them. It's like, if you want an RPG where all the main characters are adults, those exist? This is a mistake. Never mind, this is not a mistake. I thought it was gonna roll back to the 1. So, hey, that worked out. Yeah, Luigi's power is like really dragging me behind, so... Yay. Cool. The interesting thing is with, Partners in Time onwards, the roulette like stops instantly, so it's actually easier to time in some ways. This feels harder to time in this game. Oops, that was a misinput. A very bad misinput too. I was trying to jump on this one. I'm explicitly not doing action commands also to get them to color change. Luigi needs that muscle milk. I feel like that's a reference I don't actually get. Alright, they also have different, like, speeds, so their turn order is actually based on color a little bit. Like, their stats are slightly different, I think. So we have a fun section coming up. Also, we have this little relay block. We'll see how well we can do at this while also talking about various things. It's like, you know, I get on this topic a lot, to the point where, Shantae, gotcha. I get on this topic a lot, but I love Xenoblade 2 as a game. It is extraordinarily anime and tropey, and definitely has things I don't like about it. But it feels like people use Xenoblade 2 to be like, all RPGs are weird, and uncomfortable, and bad. And it's like, really frustrating to me. Because it's like, Xenoblade 2 has a lot of good, genuine points, and people have to make it weird, basically. See, I can't talk about Xenoblade 2 while also doing this, like, this thing that requires precise timing. I'm not locked in. Persona is kind of the same way. I love a lot of Persona. I will not defend a lot of aspects of all the Persona games I've played. And yeah, and that's another argument I keep seeing people try to push, is something can be flawed and still interesting because it's flawed. Like, I was watching a video essay recently on, like, Ranma 1/2 and talking about how a lot of the quote-unquote representation of the show, which is a lot of headcanoning, to be honest, is kind of not great. Some of it is legitimately, like, problematic in some ways, but basically, like, yet people still often find good symbolism out of Ranma, even if the portrayals of, like, gender have aged poorly in some ways. But it's like, it doesn't discount that a lot of people do get something out of this show, and also it almost makes it more interesting to talk about because there's actual things to dissect and discuss and disagree on, versus, like, you know, something that everyone is just, like, universally praising. Jump using the A and B buttons and hit the blocks as they move to score points. Get 30 points in 25 seconds or less, and the door to the next area will open. It's like, I love Xenoblade 3. Again, I usually will give Xenoblade 3 as my favorite game. There's a lot less to talk about with Xenoblade 3, because it's a lot more straightforward. Basically, the only thing to actually debate about Xenoblade 3 is the ending, and the ambiguity of it. I love the ambiguity of it, but I also understand why people don't like the ambiguity of it. But again, not to go into too many details, because, you know, it's only a 2023 game. But to me, the story was actually solid enough that it didn't feel ambiguous to me for some reason. Like, it was seen as too ambiguous for some, and I totally respect that opinion. But I personally felt like it had, like, a good amount of ambiguity that, like, left me thinking, but also enough to have some level of closure. But again, that's a really weird balance, and it's not going to land the same way for everyone. So again, that just kind of goes into, like, that's the one thing that we could debate out of Xenoblade 3, and it's something that you don't really see debated, because, oh yeah, this is about the ending of a 100-hour RPG. It's kind of hard to talk about that. Like, hash that out. Yeah, I love Xenoblade 3, I love Xenoblade 2, I like Torna, I like Future Redeemed. 1 is alright, which is, again, my hot take about Xenoblade is Xenoblade 1 is just pretty good, but not, like, blowing my mind or anything. It's like, it's alright, it's fun. But, like, that's kind of the overall thing, though. It's interesting being able to actually discuss things, but a lot of people kind of shy away from that, I think, is another part that stands out with discourse about works, like book clubs and stuff. Like, being able to look at Xenoblade 2 in my case, and, like, pick apart what I don't like about it. This is a very easy example. Very start of chapter 1, or chapter 2. I think it's chapter 2. They don't start at a prologue. It's straight up chapter 2. But, like, that's a helicopter overhead. But here's hoping the noise gate can't catch that, so it's not too loud. But anyway, Xenoblade 2 chapter 2 immediately starts with, like, Rex waking up in Pyra's lap and just staring directly at her chest. And it's one of those moments that's just like, for real? Like, we're really doing this? And it's just kind of like not a good impression, in my opinion, of, frankly, Pyra. And the game as a whole, because of just, one of your first scenes of Pyra is that, and just, like, Xenoblade 2 does not make good first impressions, basically, in a lot of ways, gameplay included. But the moments that land, to me, really land in ways that are phenomenal. So, stuff like, basically like chapter 6 onwards, I love the story of Xenoblade 2. It takes so long to get there. I don't know if it's entirely worth the payoff, depending on who you ask, but again, Xenoblade 2 is a game where it's like, I don't want to overhype something, because this game does not deserve, like, universal praise by any metric, because it does have a shit ton of flaws. But Xenoblade 2 is a legitimate case where I could potentially argue that a game greatly impacted the course of my life in some ways. So it is a game that means a lot to me, even if I can recognize it objectively has a lot of problems. Timing definitely lines up for a few personal revelations. And watching someone go through the story again, I'm like, yeah, no, this still hits. This hits real hard. And I definitely feel like I kind of forgot how hard this hits, and also this explains a lot about me that I'm reacting this way now. Basically, Chapter 7, for those who know, that part of Chapter 7. And that's a whole other, like, thing I could get on the soapbox for, is that media literacy is so frustrating sometimes, because, like, there's such a cool scene in Chapter 7 that people just boil down to one line being a meme, and it drives me up the wall, like, straight up. Like, there's this whole profound scene, and then everyone just kind of makes a meme out of it, and it's like, cool. Like, completely ignoring the entire point of this scene. So yeah, I do feel like that is an issue with Xenoblade 2. It's just, like, a lot of people don't quite see certain nuance in the storytelling, which causes some to just, like, meme it a lot more than, and, like, miss certain aspects. I feel like I'm coming off snobby with this when I put it that way. I don't want to be like, you know, only someone with a high IQ can understand Xenoblade 2, because that is not how I feel about this, but I worry that's how I come off sometimes when I say things like this. But just the overall feeling of, like, there's a lot of imagery and, like, theming in Xenoblade that just kind of gets overlooked because, things like the character designs in 2, and just the overall, like, anime art style of the series with 2 onwards. Yeah, that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here. But yeah, it's frustrating, because again, certain scenes are like, oh, here's a character being, like, haha, friend-zoned. Like, Xenoblade fans have one joke, it feels like, and it's a character being friend-zoned, without going into details. And, like, it's really frustrating to me, because, like, there's a scene in 2 that's, like, it's got this huge build-up to a moment, and it's not about the character being friend-zoned, and yet that's what the fanbase talks about with that scene. And, like, at least that's how a lot of the fanbase, like, talks about it in a way that just drives me up the wall, because it's missing the entire point of this whole exchange, basically. Anyway, fan bases are frustrating is the takeaway. This is not like a huge revelation, probably, but I do ultimately feel like when a fan base gets big, it gets way more toxic, because just the percentage odds of more bad actors goes up the more people are invested in something. Because how dare Rex express gratitude? Yeah, basically. How dare. Yeah, I think 1 is the weakest. I think it's still good, I just don't resonate with it, and that's the thing. 2 and 3 very personally resonate with me. I think 1 is a great story, but I don't resonate with any character, so the story feels flat to me. With my grasp on storytelling, a lot of times it doesn't take, like, the best narrative ever, or, like, some major plot twist or anything to solidify, oh, this is my favorite story. It can just take, like, one really good character, like, one really good moment to be like, yeah, no, this is great. So, like, and that's frankly gotten me called easy to please in the past, for how, like, easygoing I am with some things. As much as you've turned into a walking build for Iconoclast, you're glad the fan base isn't bigger. Yeah, I 100% feel that way about, like, Professor Layton, for example, where it's like, I wish more people would play this, but also I'm kind of glad that I don't have to, like, deal with, you know, head-up-ass opinions about Professor Layton constantly that are being shoved at me through YouTube algorithms on the subject of Iconoclasts. So yeah, that's why I also kind of don't hype up things. I always am very objective with things I like. I don't try to oversell things. At least I hope I don't. But a lot of times I try to be very like, I really love this, but you gotta be committed. And like Xenoblade 2 is a great example of that. Like, you gotta commit to this game, because there is some bullshit in this, and you have to be ready to deal with it. Preparations have completion. Oh, great Kakaleta, unleash the voice of Princess Peach on the beanstalk when you are wanting to. The moment when all the world will bow down to me has come at last. Well, I guess we don't have any time to waste. Gotta pick up the pace here. Luckily, it's only in the next room. What is our health looking like? Screw it, we'll toss the syrup at Mario, because he's kind of low on BP. How many Who Beans do we actually have? It feels like we have a ton. 23? We need like 12 more? Actually, wait a minute. Yeah, we're actually kind of sitting pretty here, but again, I might get all the coffee made in one go, just so I can remember which ones there are, which ones we're missing, because you have to make one of each, basically. I think basically a lot, I'm realizing. Peach Spots, speak! Didn't like that. There's a joke I really want to make, and I don't know when to make it. But it's about this whole set piece. Yeah, huh? What happened? What is this? I have fright. A situation we had not suspected has begun to develop. May we flee? Yarg. Pests, loathsome pests, and at the worst possible moment, we don't have time to deal with you fools. Well, won't this be fun? Oh yes. If that's how it is, I am ready for you. I'm going to knock you all the way back to the Mushroom Kingdom. Hey, so fun thing, we're already fighting Kakaleta, and we're like 5 hours into the game. So she has this move where she can clone herself, which is the real me. Do you idiots know? Is it the one that actually had the text box? I don't think it is, actually. Never mind, it was very easy. Okay. Just gonna give yourself away there. Neat. Makes my life a lot easier. This is not the final boss. Shoot, which one's which? This is way harder than Paper Mario, where you have, like, better AoE options. Like, if you have Vivian, you can just kind of hit all targets very easily and not have to worry about anything. But in this game, you actually do have to kind of sweat the details a little bit. I don't know if there's a towel. That was a joke. Oh, gotcha. God damn it. Yeah, we have, like, no AoE options. Like, is there a towel? I never knew, like, figured out if there's a towel or not. Which is probably not a good thing on my part to just never try to figure that out after, like, 20 years. So she'll raise her arms to indicate who's gonna be struck first. Guess who's very bad at countering it, though. Here we go. Eventually, she'll swap back to her, like, scary form full-time for the final phase of the fight. Tenacious little boys, aren't you? I'm too busy for such games. Time for this to end. By the way, if you fall down one of these holes, you end up getting a weight attached to you that makes jumping harder. So like attack timings and defense timings are like really screwed up. If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this means we're actually getting close to the end of the fight. Okay, that was easy. And rip you, I guess. I really don't need to fight as many enemies as I have. I'm flying through this game. Let's go speed. It feels like it's been a bit. Yeah, to the previous topic, it's like, whenever people talk about Guilty Gear, given how much I talk about Guilty Gear, I'm like, you gotta commit to this. It's like, this is a not easy fighting game to learn, so it's not just a casual thing to get into. How could this happen? Kakaleta, do not have worries. Watch, I'm sucking up your energy with this headgear. Oh, Fawful, give them one final attack for me. I say to you, yes. And rip them, I guess. How? Now, quickly to the fallen Beanstar. What? The Beanstar heard Princess Peach's voice and went mad? But why would Princess Peach's voice drive the Beanstar mad? I sense a surprising secret at the center of this riddle. I shall explain it all in detail once we have safely recovered the Beanstar that has fallen below. You two must go to the bottom floor immediately. I'm gonna check something really quickly. I think I missed a bean, actually. Not that it matters. I'm just, you know, being slightly, like, perfectionist about this, admittedly. Yeah, like, Guilty Gear is the number one example of that, where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna, like, convince someone to play Guilty Gear, like, you know, lightly, because this is a very draining game to get into. Fighting games just are. But Xenoblade is also a big example, because it's a big-ass RPG with a lot of parts that are not great. So, it's not something I can totally recommend wholeheartedly until I can kind of gauge, like, yeah, no, this seems like something that, like, you'd be into, but... this is kind of my way, I guess. Like, underselling. I know I undersell myself, frankly, quite a bit. But yeah, that's kind of my take on a lot of things, where I like being able to discuss things as long as they're actually, you know, willing to listen, which isn't always the case, if I'm being honest. It's like a lot of Xenoblade discourse is just like people, like, arguing for the sake of just saying, the game I like is good, and the game you like is bad. And that's not productive. My other favorite thing is when someone says, I love this, and then someone else is like, I think it's awful, and terrible, and just, like, goes off like that. And then the person is, like, you know, defensive, quote-unquote, about that. And then the other person responds, like, well, why are you getting so upset at my opinion? It's like, because you just barged into this conversation to be an asshole. That's why. But yeah, that's one of my least favorite things that people unironically do in a lot of cases. Alright, we have another boss here, actually. Double boss dungeon, essentially. Damn, we already got another level up? Seriously? That's gonna be a 1, yeah. You can kind of feel it. We also got like a 4 last time. I'm not upset about that. Yeah, speaking positive of something does not give carte blanche to have opinions back and just be snarky about it. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at too. And again, this part of the thing that always pisses me off when people are like, well, I guess you just can't handle my opinion. It's like, that's literally not the issue. It's literally just deflecting blame. It's like, I love video games. I get very tired of talking about video games sometimes, despite me being here streaming a video game. It's like, I want to be excited about video games, and that is not easy sometimes. Alright, let's see, dodge this. And then single jump, and oops, we are too strong now. Too OP. That's very awkward actually, but didn't really take too much more time than would have otherwise. The other thing I feel really strongly about with like video games is there's sort of like a fine line between like pessimism and realism, and this is a line I struggle with, admittedly. Like doom and gloom, essentially. Where it's like, there's a fine line between, oh, the industry has things about it that I do not like, and saying, you know, video games are doomed, kind of, which tends to be what happens a lot with online discussions. It's like, yeah, I don't think video games are doomed, I just think we're going through a rough patch, as we do in a lot of areas in history. Alright. How the hell does this pipe even work? I feel like there's a secret here, I literally don't know what it is. I always forget what that's even for. We're actually making very good time. We're almost to the second ad break for this stream, and we're almost done with the Hooniversity, so we might be able to get through Teehee Valley today, if I decide to push that far. Because we have, like, only a couple things, and they're kind of short things, too, between now and then. I'm very glad the yellow did not attack, because then we can do this. By the way, if there's 2 yellows and 1 blue, for example, and then you defeat the blue, that doesn't count as matching colors, so they don't instantly get defeated. I shouldn't be first striking them, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, oops, that's kind of a mistake, actually, because that is increasing my odds of finishing them off too fast. Like, I don't have a horse in this race, but Final Fantasy 16 discourse has been absolutely insufferable. Because a lot of people have strong opinions on what is a Final Fantasy, and like, I don't like the direction of Final Fantasy 16, I'll be totally honest. I'm not into, like, you know, why can't I think of it? Either way, like a dark fantasy, basically. There's another term for it. High fantasy, that's what I'm looking for. But it's like, I'm not super into high fantasy, in all fairness, but I just still find the constant bashing of Final Fantasy 16 exhausting from everything I've seen about it, to the point where it's like, I almost feel more, like, I almost have warmed up on it just because it's constantly a punching bag for people. Not because I have a ton of desire to play it myself, but just because I feel like a lot of discourse around 16 is just kind of insufferable. And I feel that about a couple of games too, where it's like, I don't even care about I didn't even care about this game until people started being weird about it, essentially. Now I'm kind of like, it's almost an underdog situation, to the point where I'm almost rooting for it more than it would be normally. Horizon Zero Dawn is the big one, also. The only true Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest for the Nintendo Steam Deck. Why hasn't Mystic Quest gone and re-released? It's in theater with them. Like, this is not me doing a bit, by the way, just to clarify. I legitimately want a remake or a port of Mystic Quest. Like, put it on NSO, like, legit. Like, I would want that. Square Enix has not put a single game on NSO to my knowledge, though, so they are not interested in supporting that service. Which is a shame, because they were on board with the Virtual Console, but not, NSO. So this part kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Gotta time this very carefully, with these little electric mice. Alright, or we could just get it first try, and that works too. I was not expecting that, if I'm being real. Sometimes I surprise myself, like, again, speaking of underselling myself, there have been many occasions where I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm getting this first try, immediately gets it. I thought Breath of Fire was Capcom. The beanstalk suddenly came falling down out of nowhere. It was shocking, see? But having treasure fall out of the sky sure is lucky. That's right, very lucky. Only Popple the Shadow Thief could get such results, see? You're amazing, boss. Rookie? Yes, boss? Unless my eyes are screwy. Look there, it's red and green from the chateau. You're so smug. Well, boo, boo to you, I say. Why does this always happen? This isn't funny, see? Rookie. Yes, boss? These two numbskulls seem to like the old ring-a-ding-ding. Time to scrap again, see? Yes, boss? Oh, he's so happy. The little bow is always one of my favorite details from that cutscene. So this is ostensibly the same fight from before. I don't think we saw the fire attack last time though, because we won the fight too fast, so that's slightly different. It was Capcom. The SNES version was translated and published by Square. Ah, I actually didn't know that. That makes sense though, because a lot of games are kind of like that. I wonder if rights reverted back to Capcom though by now. Damn, that was fast. Popple is effing dead. Again. Again, defeating Popple first is better because you gotta wear a badge, otherwise Popple will flee. So it is actually better to deliberately target Popple first. It's a little bit confusing to have Popple and Waffle in the same game. They kind of sound similar to me in terms of like overall cadence. I do like how Rookie throws hammers, which is a little reference to Mario 1, how the real Bowser is able to throw hammers, and basically only in Mario 1 up until like maybe Mario Maker? I actually can't remember. I'm gonna do a thing. And I screwed it up, okay. But that should unlock the bonus attack. The fun thing is in 3DS, they actually give the ability, they actually add in like separate toggles for these. Oops, I screwed it up. I forgot they actually put that one. But basically they have separate like listings for the different bros attacks as soon as you discover them. Which is nice. It's not like, you know, a huge deal, but it's kind of neat. Damn, our stats are looking pretty good, actually. Again, eventually you'll get 5s on the roulettes, which is very nice. So that's the benefit of like not just pumping everything into attack, where you'll basically only get 1s. So there's a benefit to spreading out the stats. And it's pissed again. Oh no, a treasure! It's gonna fly away, see? And there goes Popple. Oh, I remember. I am all of me, Bowser the King. And yeeted. I have opinions about the Beanstar, actually. It's a really weird, like, plot MacGuffin, to be perfectly honest. It's legitimately weird, because it doesn't really play into, like, a lot of endgame stuff directly. It just sort of plays an indirect role as a MacGuffin. It doesn't... It's not like, you know, the pure hearts in Paper Mario, that actually, Super Paper Mario, that play more of an integral role to anything. And the Crystal Hearts in Thousand Year Door. But again, we'll get into that a little bit later. But that is something that always stood out to me in this game. This music sounds so crunchy. The beans are turned to nubs. Alright, this is Oho Oasis. We need hand powers. Don't tell no one big secret of some wall in the southeast region of Ireland. No one. How offering up the fire and the brimstone to the hole in the wall makes things happen. I never tell nobody that. No way, no how, no. I'm not gonna talk to all these, because there's a lot of them. There's a block up here. We're not really hurting for coins, and that takes a bit to get through, so I'm just gonna move on. You have these 2 temples. I hope you like this music. We'll be hearing it a lot in the future. This Fire Palace. That way, Thunder Palace. I tired. Not sure was a sentence, yeah. Sometimes I wonder about the localization process of this. What you do if you meet Big Firebrand in room up ahead. Huh? What you do? Oh, you know. I am me. Good for you. Just gonna break this stone slab and piss off a fire god, as you do. I like how this turns Mario back to full size. Welcome! Yes, welcome! Welcome to the Fire Palace. I have been waiting for you. I've waited many long years, smoldering like embers. For you I have kept waiting, and waiting, and waiting. In fact, the last time anyone came through here was 3,000 years ago. Oh, waiting just burns me up, but enough about that. So, why have you come? Huh? You, this place? This place of power is, this place is... Yeah, wait a second, just what kind of place was this anyway? What was it I was planning on doing? Am I allowed in here? Huh? Wait just a minute, where am I? Who am I? I guess having no guests for 3,000 years takes a toll. Everything just seems to slip one's mind. Ha, Diddy Har, how humorous. So, I guess you can do what you want. I won't stop you. Alright, so let's go touch the big fire orb, since he's not gonna stop us. Just casually burn our arm off. And my hand is glowing. Now our hand is on fire. You know, just normal things. Oh wait, I just remembered. This is the famed Fire Palace, where we teach the ways of the blistering hand power. Yes, it's all coming back. I've been waiting for you. You want the hand power, right? You want to master the fiery hand power known as the Firebrand, do you not? You do, right? Right? You do not need to tell me. Your pose says it all. I shall instruct you in the arts of the Firebrand. First, press the R button to select your hand power. And just casually touch a stove to get fire powers. I'm sure a child has done that because of this game. Hold the A button, then release the button. Till you have charged up enough energy. That was probably missed. Only then shall you shoot forth a mighty blast of flame. Perhaps you should try it once. Alright. Mario mastered the Firebrand. I see no problem with your skill. If you just do this action near something flammable, you should have no problems. Surely this skill will open new paths in your life, wouldn't you agree? So farewell! What a nice fellow. I'm sure Luigi won't be totally, like, thrown through the ringer by comparison. Not in Mario and Luigi of all series. I feel like there are hidden blocks here. I guess we'll investigate that in a moment, though, because ads are about to kick in. The first room of the Fire Palace. Okay, so down here. Yeah, looks like it's over here. We'll get this real quick, and then ads are gonna start. Alright. Gonna hop outside, and then we're gonna take a short break. I'm gonna get up and stretch and hydrate, and then we'll keep going.